Hey guys, the fair season has started, and my first fair of this year wasn't the wine fair, it was a hotel and gastronomy fair. The famous HOGA took place in Nuremberg for 3 days. Well, actually, it's still ongoing while I'm recording this podcast, but I took part in it on Sunday and on Monday, and it was a total different experience. Because when you go to wine fairs, you can taste wines everywhere, but if you get hungry, you have to buy usually quite expensive food. But if you go to a gastronomy fair, you can get your food and your drinks for free. So this was a whole new experience. I mean, it's quite tough to taste wines or alcohol-free drinks when there is this pizza smell in the air. But nevertheless, if you get hungry, there's always something to grab. You can have a free coffee and, well, it's just a whole nother experience. So back to business, back to being serious. It was a very, very interesting first fair to me because I had a very specific focus on how gastronomy and the wine industry is currently dealing with the trends that are ongoing. And I wrapped my interviews and all the feedback I received up in this episode to give you a kind of a feeling of the current state of the wine industry and the sector of hospitality. So if you're listening to this and you need an orientation where you are currently at and where you should be going, I identified 3 different key groups for wineries and for hotels and restaurant. And in the end, I will give you some tips on how you can deal with the trends that are going on and how you can get up when we talk about the groups of the pyramid. Have fun. Welcome to the Pinot and Pixel podcast episode number 227. And I would like to start the year with my focus and what should be your focus if you're working in the wine industry, in hotel and gastronomy. And as I said in the intro, I went to the first gastronomy fair in 2025, the HOGA in Nuremberg, and well, I used every single situation to have a chat with people working in the industry and how they are currently dealing with the challenges, with the trends, and with the opportunities they are confronted with. And just to wrap this up, generally, I really enjoyed the fair. It's not a super big fair, so there is fewer visitors. This was just my feeling, but the quality of the talks you can have, the conversations you can have, and maybe even the conversions to sales, well, I feel it was just better. I would like to start with the wineries, 15 wineries from Franken, from the area of Franken in Germany, Franconia. And the interesting thing is, I mean, I was focused on tasting alcohol-free products and trying to figure out what their focus is, or at least how they are dealing with this topic. Nevertheless, I also asked them what they are currently dealing with, and usually it's rising costs. It's also a problem of staff shortage, maybe in the vineyard or on the wine cellar, or at least in marketing and sales. Same with the gastronomy. And the fear of adapting to trends while losing customers. And this is the same with hotel and gastronomy. And that, just to put this in front of everything we will talk about, you will never lose clients while adapting to trends if you just do it in a small portion. I mean, if you have a winery and you get rid of all the wine and you're just selling non-alcoholic products, this will be a problem because you will lose the major part of your existing peer group and you have to build up a new one. But just by putting something else in addition on your portfolio, on your wine list in the restaurant, why should there be any problem? No customer will run away from you while reading, oh, there is an alcohol-free option. I don't like them anymore. Because they say, well, you have this, okay, I get it, but I still want your wine. So let's start with the wineries. For me, there are 3 different groups where a winemaker or a winery belongs to. The first group I call the embracers. They are on the top of the pyramid. These are the people that know how to deal with trends, or at least they deal with the trend by offering more still wine in the white area. So more still white wines, more sparkling wines going with the trend, declining wine consumption, but focus on more premium, on more white products instead of red wines. offering alcohol-free options. And even if it's just grape juice, verjus, or sparkling grape juice, ending up, of course, also maybe in non-alcoholic, de-alcoholized wines, they are the embraces. And for me, these are the wineries that are leading the change. They try to be innovative, or at least try to keep up with trends. And especially when it comes to the wineries from Franken, what I really liked is they also focus on their identity. So storytelling, education, and even the products themselves, they are focused on the regional part, the story, the reputation of the region. So while offering grape juices, verjus, or even de-alcoholized wines with their local varieties, they can just keep the whole story. And when you come to their stand, to their booth, and you see the wine list, and there is a non-alcoholic wine or a sparkling grape juice, they just show it. And when you ask on that, they're like, yeah, well, of course I have one. I mean, I have 15 wines on the list as well. But if you want to try the alcohol-free wines, please do so. And what they also get is, if there is somebody who wants to taste the whole portfolio, they start with the alcohol-free option. And of course, some people say, no, please skip that. Let's start with the wine. That is totally fine. They are never aggressive. They never feel offended. They just keep going, and they are proud, or at least, well, yeah, let's say they are proud of offering stuff like that. And sometimes they even, they just don't tell the story. They say, are you interested in wine? Are you interested in trying the alcohol-free one? Our focus is premium white wines. We have a new traditional method sparkling wine made of Silvano, our grape variety, our key variety in the region. And if you discover right now that you belong to this group, continue innovating and educating your audience to these offers. It is so important. And even if there might be some uppercuts, or you get knocked out for maybe 1 second because a gastronomist tells you, no, this is ridiculous, don't tell us about alcohol-free stuff, keep going. It is there, it is a thing, and it will be there for the next 5 to 10 years. There is a cultural shift going on, and it's good that you are a part of that. The second group are the hesitators. So the people that know about the trend, but either they are afraid of because they say, oh, well, maybe my customers will run away. In brackets, no, they won't. Or they know that this is a trend, but there is a lack of either money or volume producing alcohol-free stuff. And I talked to 2 winemakers who told me, well, I know that this is a trend and I want to be part of it, but with my identity as a winery that produces handcrafted wines, I'm currently not convinced of the quality of de-alcoholized wine, so I don't want to offer it. But I'm thinking about something different, maybe making a high-quality grape juice, like other companies do. There is Flein, for example, in Austria, Germany, and Alto Adige, which offer premium grape juice or sparkling grape juice. And this is what I like. I mean, they still hesitate. They know about the trend and they want to be part of it, but they haven't had their moment of enlightening and, I don't know, or at least the chance of being part of this trend. And I mean, I get it. If you don't have the volume, because, I don't know, you produce 25,000 bottles annually, it is tough to get your own alcohol-free wine. But what you can do is talk to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 other wineries, put some volume of wine, some bulk wine together, get it de-alcoholized, and then sell it as a corporation. And some people actually do it. I tasted 3 wines of 3 different wineries and they tasted similar. And then I compared the labels and it was actually the same product. And then they told me, yes, it's a corporation of 12 wineries where everybody just shipped their share of Bacchus, Müller-Thurgau, Silvaner, so local varieties again. Then it was blended, de-alcoholized, and then you get your de-alcoholized wines depending on the share you put in the beginning. And then you have kind of a trial and you can test the feel of, are your customers interested in alcohol-free versions? And you still are able to tell the story of regional identity, local varieties and stuff. And the taste is quite similar to the wines you have. Of course, there is a total difference in structure and complexity and everything, but at least it is part of the story and you can be proud of it. It's not a shitty product you just buy and put your label on it. It's part of your identity. So if you still hesitate and you think about doing something but you're still afraid of, consider starting small. Offer a sparkling grape juice or talk to other wineries you want to work with, or at least you like or or talk to one of the big producers, Karl Jung, Trautwein, just in Germany. They offer programs like that. And it's always the same, even though you think nobody's asking for it. By talking to people, you get a feeling of how many people are actually considering doing stuff like that, but they just don't talk about it. Believe me, if just 5 of the 15 winemakers at this fair would have talked to each other, they would have discovered that there is an interest and there are options of doing so. So if you are interested in that, start small, offer a single alcohol-free option, or look for producers who want to do the same to test the waters. And last but not least, the bottom of the pyramid are the negotiators, the people who know about the trend, who just don't care, or they just don't know the trend. And if you ask for it, well, really? Alcohol-free? No, I don't think so. This is nothing for my winery. I have been focused on producing alcohol for the last 250 years with my whole family, and I will keep on doing so. And it gets even worse when it is a winery from a region that is focused on red wine. Because I'm not only talking about alcohol-free options, I'm talking about the whole shift in the drinking culture. People are drinking less, and red wine is suffering way more than whites or sparkling wines. So if you are in an area, I don't know, in Germany there's our valley, or in Austria there are many, many regions, Carnuntum for example, where there is a bigger amount of reds rather than whites. But if you say, no, I don't think so, I will keep doing my 80% red, 20% white, and I don't care about the rest, this will be a problem in the future, guys. Because you have to do way more to convince your peer group of staying with your winery. And it's even heavier to gain new customers. Because who would be interested in something that is not following the trend? And you have to listen to your customers. I mean, there are wineries who still say, well, I produce what I like and people like it as well. But usually we talk about boutique wineries producing 10,000 bottles. And you, of course, you have your niche in the niche, and this could work. But if you are bigger, or you're getting bigger and bigger, 5, 10, 15, 20 hectares, you have to deal with what is going on in the industry. So what I could do is, my recommendation would be, educate yourself on what is going on in the industry and consider making minor adaptations to your portfolio, even just to your mindset, and future-proof your business. It doesn't have to be a lot. I mean, it's small steps, and this accounts for everything. You don't have to shift everything in your company. Start small, and if you need help with that, let's chat. Send me an email at podcast@pinotpixel.com, and we will find a specific solution for your company. Well, this is it for the wineries. It's a pyramid. There's the small group of the embracers, a bigger one of the hesitators, and still a big one of the negotiators. And of course, I get it. It's always difficult to change what you have been successful with, but usually it's a good idea to embrace trends, to embrace technology, and trying to adapt to what your customers are going to do in the future. So let's go over to the restaurants. And the restaurants, well, it's quite similar, because usually, I mean, they are the second part in the supply chain after the wineries. And usually it's even heavier for them, because they have to find partners, wineries, for example, that are serving trends and what people are asking for. And on the other hand, they also have to deal with the change in culture of their audience. So if you have a restaurant and people are asking for something that your partners can't offer, this is even worse, because you have to change your partners and you can't feed the demands of your audience. So this is one of the struggles I was told. And in addition, of course, they feel that there is something going on. But of course, staff shortage is a big thing, rising cost is a big thing. And even the decision they might have to take in the future, either going more standard or going more boutique, so offering less but standardized, or still offering a high quality portfolio but having the people that want to pay for it. This is another thing people told me they have to deal with in the future. And of course, in addition, how do I deal with the ongoing trend, the shift in the drinks culture, more attraction, more demand for sparkling wine, for white wine, and for de-alcoholized options, or at least alcohol-free options. I'm not only talking about de-alcoholized wine. There were other producers at the fair offering high-quality non-alcoholic aperitifs, alcohol-free beer, spirits. Actually, there were no tea companies. There was one kombucha company I discovered, but well, yeah, you know what I'm talking about, the whole category itself. And talking about the pyramid of restaurant and hotel owners, there's also 3 categories I discovered. First of all, the adapters. And they are quite similar to the embracers when it comes to wineries. They proactively align with the trends. They offer alcohol-free options. They shift their portfolio with a bigger focus on quality wines, white wines, sparkling wines, expanding, for example, the sparkling wine menu, or setting a bigger focus on regional drinks as well. And in addition, many of them who I talked to who were part of these adapters category, they already offer a high quality, no low menu with aperitifs, with mocktails, with alcohol-free beers and wines, and they were looking for options like that as well. I had a chat with one winemaker who said, well, we brought our normal wines, our alcoholic wines, and several alcohol-free options, and the percentage, the ratio was 90 and 10 when we talk about the interest in people for non-alcoholic 90 and alcoholic wines 10%. And he said, I have never experienced that before, and maybe this is why I was convinced in my predictions episode that this is the biggest dry January ever. Maybe because the wine fair took place in January, there was a bigger focus on alcohol-free options, but he said it was absolutely crazy. And I think the third day he ran out of samples of alcohol-free options. But well, this is it. I mean, let's say you have already a satisfying menu of white wines, of sparkling wines, and you're looking for alcohol-free options. Well, I get it. This is why you are looking at fairs like that and talking to people who offer alcohol-free options. So these adapters, the trendsetters, you can call them as well. If you are part of that, keep going, keep the momentum, and promote these offerings more visible. So if you have a menu, maybe just split it. Offer a separate alcohol-free menu or advertise it. And not only in dry January. Of course, this is big, but in dry January, everybody's doing that. And if you keep going in February through to December, this could be a USP for your company. And trust me, I mean, especially when you're focused on at least on fine dining, or maybe you're even a Michelin star restaurant, you know how to build menus with wine pairings. And if you have the products, you can also do that with alcohol-free options. And some restaurant owners or people working as a som or in service, they told me, yeah, we are doing that and people are asking more for it. So if you're part of this group, keep going. Second group are the observers. It's people that know about the trend and they still don't know what to do because, as they usually tell me, nobody's asking for it. But maybe one day we will consider of changing our menu. And they are trying things. And the second thing that sometimes is a problem in that category, they listen to their own palate. So they try different things. They taste de-alcoholized wines. They taste non-alcoholic spirits. And then they say, I don't like it, so I don't put it on the menu. And of course, I mean, I know that it is tougher to sell, especially as a sommelier, if you have products that you actually don't like and you're not convinced about the quality. If people are asking for alcohol-free options, maybe they don't care about this and that quality, or maybe you just need the story to tell. And especially when you have products like the ones I tasted at the fair with the regional focus, if you are a restaurant in the area of Franken and you have so many local wineries on your list, it is it's a no-brainer of having an alcohol-free option that was at least produced, the base wine was actually produced in that region. It is part of the whole story. And you have to be a super fan of it by selling it to people who are asking for alcohol-free options. And it's the same with sparkling wines and still wines. I mean, if you're not a fan of Müller-Thurgau or Silvaner, but you are able to differentiate between low and high quality, and you taste a Silvaner traditional method and you don't like it, but you know that there are many, many people that are interested in something special when it comes to sparkling category, why not trying it out? Especially when you are in charge of the portfolio of the purchase of your restaurant. You can have 6 or 12 bottles, put it on the menu, test it, and if it works, good. And if not, well, try another one. So if you are part of these cautious creators, listen to customers' feedback, sometimes even have a proactive chat with them, gradually introduce more options, either sparkling wines, white still wines, or alcohol-free options to your menu, and try to stay relevant. Or even maybe you're just not on the map at the moment for many people, but you are being put on the map through your customers. And what was really interesting, I had a chat with a person who is a sommelier in a restaurant close to Nuremberg, and she told me, we didn't consider having alcohol-free drinks on the menu, and nobody was asking for it. And once we have put it on there, people went crazy. And right now it's an established part, not only of our wine menu, but also of our menus itself. So if we offer a wine and food pairing menu, there's always an alcoholic option and an alcohol-free option, and people just love it because they have the same thing in their mind, like winemakers, for example. They think that alcohol-free options are only for pregnant people or for the people who have to drive. And it is enough to have water and Coke and juices on the menu. It's not, because these people still love to enjoy their food and their drinks together. And especially if you are in the higher sophisticated area, fine dining, and even a Michelin star restaurant, you don't want to pair your superfood $150 euro menu with a Coke. You might be interested in something that really soothes the meal. And this could be tea, kombucha, alcohol-free wine, or even an alcohol-free aperitivo, a cocktail, whatever. You know how to deal with that because it's quite similar to wine and food pairing. Well, yeah. And last but not least, there are the dismissers. And this is basically the same category. It's also the bottom of the pyramid, at least at the moment. Maybe one day the pyramid will switch head over feet. We don't know. Hopefully it will. But these are people that either just ignore the trend, know about it, or they say, what trend? I mean, we have been working in that space for 30 years and we have never changed and it is still working. And I mean, this could be dangerous. Well, listen to me, this could be dangerous. Let me tell you 2 things. One is a thing that I already mentioned in that episode. On the one hand, you have to consider that no customers will avoid your place in the future because they once have discovered an alcohol-free option on your menu or on your wine list as a winery. And secondly, you don't know if there is a demand for something if you don't have at least a small offer. Nobody would ask for a wine list if you don't talk about wine. If you have 3 wines on your drinks menu, which consists of 150 drinks and just 3 of them are wines, nobody would ask for a wine menu. Maybe the super nerds, but they will say, okay, well, there's 3 and I have to choose one. Okay, that's fine. But if you have a small sign on your table saying, we have many wines, we have a wine list, ask for it, we have a great list of alcohol-free choices, maybe, it's a psychological factor. Maybe they just need to know that there is something available to ask for it. And then it will flip the whole way around and you will see an increasing demand for it. So my recommendation would be analyze customer behavior and data, ask for feedback, and maybe offer just a small amount. Maybe go bigger on sparkling wines, or say, this is our white wine month. Because I'm always talking about alcohol-free options, but I mean, we are still talking about the shift in drinks culture, and shifting from red wine to white and sparkling is also a big thing. So if you are afraid of changing, start small. Offer 2 or 3 different things, or I don't know, advertise your brand new sparkling portfolio. And it doesn't have to be brand new, maybe just a rearrangement or something, or the story is just different, or make a specific meal or a menu with sparkling options, with alcohol free options. And I can tell you, I mean, I had to deal with a lot of negative feedback, but always when I do wine and food pairings, there is always an alcoholic version with wine and an alcohol free option with alcohol free wines. And the interesting thing is, usually, if the people that register for the alcohol-free part in the beginning, they stay with the alcohol-free stuff because they want to have it, they're convinced of the category, or they just don't want to drink alcohol. And the people who say, no, I want wine in the beginning, they always want to taste the alcohol-free options. And either they say, well, this is what I expected, I don't like it, I say with wine, that is fine. Or they're getting curious, they're getting excited and say, well, there is 1 or 2 options that I really like. And this is what I also discovered during the fair. And we are not only talking about alcohol-free wines, but there were wineries offering alcohol-free options beyond de-alcoholized wines. Verjus, grape juices. And what I really liked, my favorite product of the wine fair was from the winery called Schmidt in Franken. They call it, what was the name? They call it Apfelpunsch. So basically it's a spiced up apple juice, but we're not talking about just pressed apples and then they throw some spices in. It's a crafted product. And what I really liked about this one is they changed 2 small factors and we had 3 different drinks with just one basement. So we tried it purely in the beginning. It was a spicy apple juice, and it reminded me a bit of the champagne pair of manufacturer Jörg Geiger in Germany, an alcohol-free brand that is quite well established in gastronomy and restaurants in Germany. And then they added some sparkling water, which just lifted the aromas and the flavors of the drink, and it was fresher, it was lighter, it was easier to drink. And then they threw in a slice of lemon. And this was the kick this drink needed to be my favorite drink in the alcohol-free section of this fair. And I mean, what they did basically is, well, we are not convinced about alcohol-free wines or de-alcoholizing our products, but we have so many apples available and we just try something different. And the interesting thing is, this is not a seasonal product. I mean, still it feels like, but in the winter they sell it as a mulled wine without alcohol, because when you heat this up, this is tasty as hell. And then when it gets to spring, you add some sparkling water, and in the summer you add this lemon slice, and it's a drink for the whole year. This is it's just amazing, and this is one of the small steps I'm talking about. And of course, I mean, you need a thicker skin, either as a winemaker, as a winery, or in a restaurant when you talk about alcohol-free things. Because I would say 90% of the people start smiling when you talk about alcohol-free things, or they even say, no, go away with that. This is fine. I mean, you need to be empathetic for some of them, but just keep on telling your story. Keep on being convinced about the future of drinks, and then the rest will happen anyway. So to wrap this up, either as a winery or a restaurant, highlight the importance, tell your story, keep on offering, and keep on training your empathy and your thick skin. Use your thick skin and learn how to deal with the stereotypes about alcohol-free options. Maybe you won't love it the way I do. I love dealing with stuff like that, but it should be part of your game as a winemaker, as a sommelier, as a waitress, whatever. In the end, it all comes down to a very simple thing, and I was wearing my shirt, drink less, but better. It's about, I mean, you know what I said in one of the last episodes, moderation, moderately is, it's a word like sustainable. It was just said too often, and It's a stressed word. Let's put it like this. So just saying it in easy words: drink less but better. Focus on quality. Focus on alcohol-free options. And I know that sometimes there is a lack of quality, but at least you have something to offer. So if you're listening to that and you belong to one of these groups, and you say, well, yes, this is something I can work with, please do so. If you need help, send me an email, podcast@pinotpixel.com. And if you say, no, I'm fine with that, but I know somebody who might be interested in that, recommend this episode to a friend or a colleague and try to give him his slight kick in the ass he or she might need to become part of the shift in the drinks industry. And of course, as usual, I'm super interested in your feedback. Which category do you fall into and how might you adapt in the future? This is it, guys. Thanks for listening. It was fun to talk about the fair, the experience, and maybe have some options for you for the future. See each other on Saturday with the weekly update.